My name is Luke Wakey. Many people came from across the country. We have some people from Ohio here, and we have a live stream audience going. So thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning in. So this is Cattaraugus County in New York State. We are south of Buffalo, near the Pennsylvania border. I'm sorry about the sound. This is how sensitive these microphones are. Okay, so for those watching around the country, this is Olean, New York. We are south of Buffalo, near the Pennsylvania border. 15,000 people, largest city in a 50-mile radius. It is quite frankly my belief that if you bring the Libertarian Party to rural areas, such as Olean, and cities and towns like this in all 50 states, this is how you're going to grow this movement. It's a 50-year-old third party. It continues to grow. It received 3% of the vote in 2016. It's won state legislators for decades. So don't ever doubt the Libertarian Party. For those who know nothing about the Libertarian Party, it is basically the party of fiscal responsibility and social acceptance. You have what is known as minarchists, and that is a demographic of people which believe in just simply scaling down government where they believe it needs to be. And you do have your brand of anarchists in the Libertarian Party, and we accept them as well. And anarchist is not a violent ideology. Anarchism is taking anything, conservatism, liberalism, and adopting it as a lifestyle choice. This is my way of putting it. It is really an ideology of personal responsibility. So this year in Cattaraugus County, we ran 14 candidates, 3 cross-endorsed Republicans, 3 cross-endorsed Democrats, and 8 original Libertarians. All lost, except the cross-endorsed Republicans, but guess what? They did pretty well for Libertarian standards. Many of these people are working class people. We have a bartender, we have a factory manager, we have people like that running for local and county office. It's the first year. And just because you lose an election doesn't mean there's no future. But when you run for office as a third party, and we've proven this in Cattaraugus County, and especially with our cross-endorsed candidates, who are incumbent city officials and county officials, when a third party enters the race, it forces these two parties to reckon with you. Even a small demographic of people have more power than they believe. I like to say myself that the United States only took 3% of the population to make the United States a reality, and the Libertarians received 3% of the vote in 2016. So, a small group of people may have more power than it may seem. I ran for coroner myself. Now, am I qualified to be coroner? I tune pianos, so decide for yourself. But I put myself on there to demonstrate my willingness to put myself out there. And no, coroner is not a politicized position, but I did what I could to use my media accessibility to speak about our county issues. For example, I didn't think it was right. Some people might agree, some people might not agree. I didn't think it was right that we do not have a democratically elected county executive in this county. So I ran for county executive from the coroner position. We have now, after this election, we have all but 1 Republican county legislators in this county. And people think that the Republicans can be a fiscally responsible party. Well, why is it in this county that they raised the budget $30 million in 10 years? So we have to ask ourselves questions. We have to be informed voters. We can't just look at the president, whoever it is, whether you like Trump, whether you don't like him, whether you like Obama, whether you don't like Obama. You have to do research on the system and how it all works from within. And because we demonstrated in this county that anybody can run and anybody can win, and many of them are pumped up for the coming years. They learned you got to go door to door. I got 3.41% of the vote. All I did was campaign from Facebook, and I put lawn signs up. I gotta say, I had no intention of winning. But I wanted to demonstrate to our other candidates a willingness to put myself forward, and this has a future. Like I said, the Libertarians have won state legislators decades now. All it takes is a simple search. This stuff's out there. So, I really don't want to talk too long, but we have 8 candidates who have come from near and far, from New Hampshire to even Mexico. So you can live in Mexico for part of the year. Jesse Ventura lives in Mexico. We won't shoot Mexico. So let me just find our candidate introduction. Got a list of every candidate and what they want said about them. Too many buckets. Okay. Tell you what, I'm going to need my memory. You'll need a list. Our first candidate, his name is, many people know his name. He is a political satirist. He is a working class person who achieved national notoriety. He is somebody who has received millions of views on YouTube and has very legitimate libertarian beliefs. People look at what he does and they say, oh, it's silly. Oh, what is this? Well, he really is after some real cause. So you're going to give him a real good chance tonight. He's even beaten other presidential candidates in primaries in New Hampshire and such. So please put your hands together for Behrman Supreme. Where are you, Behrman?
Come on, Behrman. Don't fight your way out.
Our next candidate is a state legislator from New Hampshire, and he has really pushed for the libertarian cause. He is an incumbent libertarian state legislator. As I said, they're real. He's from New Hampshire. Has a bill he's introduced for to ease things for third parties. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Abramson from the state of New Hampshire. We have a United Nations advisor to the Bosnian War, a former nonprofit executive. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Armstrong. Next, we actually have 2 software engineers here. So the first software engineer, he is from Pittsburgh. He is a family man. He's a father of 3. We must point that out tonight. His name is Sam Rod. Sam Rod, come out. And our next software engineer, his name is Dan. Taxation is Theft Behrman. He legally changed his name to Taxation is Theft. Dan, Taxation is Theft Behrman. Our next candidate is the former national vice chair of the Libertarian Party, and he runs a totally and completely privatized educational organization. A lot of people don't know this. So, Arvin Vora, everybody. Next, we have Daniel Christman. He is a plumber from New York City. I ran for coroner. I said anyone can run. Daniel has a lot of good cases he's going to run on tonight. Daniel Christman, also a radio talk show host. And finally, our last candidate, Jedi Hill. He's a best-selling Amazon author. Jedi Hill. All right, our moderators tonight. Our first moderator is the Vice Chair of the Dutchess County, New York Libertarian Party, Daniel Donnelly. will debut tonight. And our second moderator tonight, he's the chairman of Livingston County, Michigan. I want you to YouTube search this guy if you don't know who he is. James Weeks, everybody. All right, I will now give it to the moderators. They will state the rules, and they will handle the rest of the debate from here on. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. We are to have an engaging, spirited, and civil debate. All the questions will be timed. The candidates will have to answer the questions according to the time. They will be given a 10-minute last 10 seconds wave, but there will be a hard cutoff. We have a lot of candidates on stage tonight. The format will be as follows. We will have opening statements at 2 minutes apiece. We will have submitted questions, a 1-minute answer, 30-second rebuttal for any answer which references another candidate. There will be a speed round with 30-second answers. We will have a break between 8:05 and 8:15. After the break, you, the audience, will submit questions to the candidate with a 1-minute answer, 30-second rebuttal if answer references another candidate. Finally, we'll have a confrontation phase where the candidates will ask questions of each other. There'll be a 30-second question with a 1-minute answer, and the outros at 1 minute apiece. So we've come a long way, you have come a long way. Let's keep it clean and lively. Thank you. For the opening statements, let's start with Mr. Jedi.
Hello. First, you're probably wondering if my name is really Jedi. Yes, it's short for Jedediah. So that'll give you a little bit of my philosophy to bring peace and harmony back to this country. Now, I'm reminded of the Declaration of Independence. We're guaranteed by God the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let's look through this. Now, you're all alive, right? Yes or yes? Yes. Next, for happiness, you got to pursue it. And with that, I help you out with my book, Alchemy the Master's Path. It's, totally free, gives you the tools to free your mind, regain control of your mind. Then that leaves us with the last one, which is liberty. Now, yes, that means you can do what you want, when you want, but the part that most people don't understand is that it's not just what you want, when you want, it's having the power and resources, in other words, the money to do what you want, when you want. So it is your birthright to be rich. You want to be rich, right? Yes. Absolutely. And to do that as president, to help you out with that, I will help free your path to riches by reducing taxes and government regulations so you can build your own business, because building a business is your best way to riches. And it has been the small business owners around the country that have got us through every adversity this country has had. So, vote Jedi for USA, and we can make a country where we all win.
Chrisman, Daniel Chrisman. Coming up here, I really didn't know what to expect from the other candidates. And sitting backstage with them and talking to them, we hear about infighting in the Libertarian Party, but we're all here for the same cause. We're all running for something together. And the way we were able to communicate in the back room was actually pretty cool. And I just hope that as Libertarians and presidential candidates going through this all the way to Austin, all the way to November, and all the way to 2024, we're all working together at building the Libertarian Party. I came here and I'm running for president solely because, well, there's a lot of reasons, not solely because. I am from Brooklyn, and there's this thing called AOC derangement syndrome, where everyone's going nuts about AOC. But we have Elliot Engel, we have Jerry Nadler, Gregory Meeks, my district, Nydia Velasquez, who's the voice of Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico's super unrepresented. There's super money funneling going on there, and it's absolutely disgusting, and I wanted to run against these congresspeople. And I realized, and I talked to the chair of the LNC, I talked to other people in the party, and I realized how little support there is from national for people that want to step up for Congress. So, and I know that in this way our government is set up, we got to get in Congress if we really want power, and we really want to take charge of how the money they steal from us is actually spent. That's what we, and it's really important. As far as going after Trump, one of the things I have to say is he appointed like 100 federal judges. And maybe those 100 federal judges were less spend, hopefully, we would hope. But are they bootlickers? Are they the type of guys that are like, lock them up, throw them in jail? And why are the progressives the ones that are leading the charge in police brutality? Why aren't we? Why aren't we taking that step and get a warrant?
That is time.
My name is Arvin Bora, and I'm running for president to end the welfare state and end the income tax. On my first day, I will pardon Julian Assange, Ross Ulbricht, and Edward Snowden, followed by every single nonviolent drug user, everyone who's only in jail for a weapons charge, everyone who's only in jail for a cryptocurrency charge. But I want to talk about what it's going to take to make a difference, to win an election, or to change this country. This culture has created this government. If we knock down this government today, if we achieve mine and Daniel's ANCAP dream and got rid of the entire government today, then this culture would create this exact government by tomorrow. Now, I see a few skeptical looks out there, so think about what happened earlier this year when the government was shut down a little bit, just a little bit. Both Democrats and Republicans clamored to have the government reopened, to bring that thing back. And it's not just the politicians, it was the voters who were clamoring to bring it back. And it wasn't just them, it was also us. Even the Libertarian National Committee put out a press release decrying the fact that the shutdown had thrown the lives of federal workers into turmoil. And so let me make sure there is no question about this. If I'm elected, I will throw the lives of federal workers into turmoil. Now here's the key thing I want to end this opening with, which is, do I need to throw out one of my 30-second things?
We're not.
Oh, okay, we're not that close, okay. Here's what I want to bring out. I want to be the partner in chief, but here's a huge thing. We can change culture with or without an electoral victory. Every person in this room can be a partner in chief in your own right. If you're on a jury,
You'll need to use your card.
if you're on a jury and it's some kind of a nonsense, non-crime, you have the ability to say not guilty. Hang that jury so that they can't take in more money from people who shouldn't be there in the first place. If your son or daughter is turning to you and asking, should I enlist in the military? Tell them the truth, which is if you join this military, you are supporting this military policy. It's not 1776, it's this military policy that you're supporting. If you have kids and you want to give them the best education possible, stop using buildings like this and switch to homeschool. That's something we can do with or without an electoral victory. My name is Arvin Bora. My website is votebora.com.
Taxation and stuff?
It's Mr. Behrman, that's my middle name.
Taxation and stuff, Behrman?
My name is Dan, Taxation is Theft Behrman. I hate taxes so much, I changed my middle name to Taxation is Theft. I did this, a lot of people ask, so did you go to the government and file for a name change and get it legally changed? And the answer is no, I actually got it lawfully changed by declaration. I didn't go to the government and ask permission because free men don't ask for permission, especially for your own name. I'm not their property. What right do they have to determine what I should be called? So this campaign is most importantly about the idea that we are all free. This idea that we're not free is in our head. We have to really understand, in order to get true freedom, it's not going to come from the government. It's not going to come from tyrants saying, you know what, maybe we're a little too hard on you, let's give you some more freedom. No, it comes from us declaring that we are free and demanding that the government stop infringing on our rights. It comes from us, it comes from within. And that's what this campaign is about. And just so everybody knows, I'm known for this ridiculous big yellow hat, but the hat does come off. Unlike the tyrants who are running in the other parties to control your lives, that tyranny does not come off.
Do you mind if I remove this? Is that okay?
I'm gonna walk around a little bit. I'm a preacher by nature, so I tend to move when I talk. And if you're wondering why I'm running for president, I was essentially left unsupervised. So filling out an FEC filing is actually really simple. Keep that in mind when you decide that you want to run for something. A couple of weeks ago, there was a poll out. It said that 40 to 60% of Americans under the age of 35 think that socialism is kind of cool. Which is scary until you look at it and you realize that the same percentage of people said capitalism is also pretty cool. What we have today are people who are mixed up, people who know that there is something wrong with the country, and they want to change. It's so bad that this election cycle, we've got 40% to 45% of individuals, registered independents, Democrats, and Republicans alike, saying that they are considering voting for a third party in this election. There are 136 million votes cast in the last election. If 45% of them vote third party, that is 65 million votes. That is more than Hillary Clinton got. That is more than Donald Trump got. This is a chance to change the country. The problem is that change is scary. People look at change and they think, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my family? What's going to happen to my neighbors? As a libertarian, I'm advocating for controlled, reasonable change, but a change in the direction this country is going. Continuing to grow the government is a path to disaster. We need to show people that we can turn things around. We need to show people that we can make progress in minimizing the size of government and freeing people from debt slavery and freeing people from regulation so that we can get them on board and get them voting for us and get the libertarian presence in Congress and in our local elections so that we can change our country. Thank you.
Mr. Armstrong. Hey there, and I'm going to do the same thing because I'm not only a preacher, I'm a libertarian, and we don't follow instructions very well, right? I'm Ken Armstrong. I am running for President of the United States. And I want to do, before I give my pitch about myself, I want to do a little mea culpa. My road manager, Earl, and I, we talk about the great old days of basketball when if somebody fouled somebody, they'd put their hand up and they'd take that foul. Well, a week ago at the debate in South Carolina, I was asked an Aleppo question. Everybody here knows what an Aleppo question is, right? I got my Aleppo question. We all read it. It happened to me. And I won't mention the person's name because I don't want to let him get a chance to rebut me. But anyway, I was asked a question, and it was sort of an esoteric question about a 45-year-old agreement within the Libertarian Party. But I spaced it because what I was thinking about was about presidential politics. And here's the problem. We need to get outside of ourselves. We're almost 50 years old as a party. In fact, we will go into our 50th year just a month after the next general election. We're almost 50 years old as a party, and we're talking about being satisfied with 5% of the vote. Folks, it'll only take us 450 more years to get into the majority that way. We need to not be satisfied with that. We need to start positioning ourselves to really move the party forward. That means picking banner carriers that know the issues that they're talking about, and that means being able to represent what the party is about to people all over the country. I've had people tell me, we need to elect people at the local level offices first. There's 48,000 municipalities in our country. We gotta concentrate on a banner president.
I'm Max Abramson. I vote for Max's for less taxes. Yes, I am the only currently serving legislator, libertarian legislator in the country. I'm sorry to say that. We have in the past had 4 or 5 serving at a time. I'm currently the only 2-term libertarian legislator in the country also. I want to change that. I've looked at other first past the post countries around the world, countries like Britain and Canada, but even countries like Germany and Switzerland that have proportional voting systems. Most of their districts are also first past the post. What the minor parties are doing, the way that they're able to get elected, is that they target, you always have, of course, the business conservative party, there's a Republican party there, there's always a socialist party, a Democrat party in those countries. The way that they get people elected down ticket, and this is very, very important, they target some of the entrenched Republican districts and they target the entrenched Democrat districts. This has been very, very effective because if you have someone who's a Republican or a conservative living in an entrenched Democrat district, they'll vote for anything. I don't mean to put our candidates down. I think we have some of the best candidates anywhere in the world. I've worked very hard on libertarian campaigns for over 20 years. I've donated, I've canvassed, I've manned tables, I've done everything that I could. But I found that the number one vote getter that works around the world is called tactical voting. There are lots of other strategies to reach out to different voters, one-issue voters, protest voters, peace voters. There are lots of different people with different ideas, but there are 170 House districts, U.S. House districts in the country that always go Republican, no matter who the Republican is, automatically. And there are another 170 House districts in the country that always go Democrat. Every single year, whoever the Democrat party picks in their rigged primary process, whoever the big city party bosses pick, that becomes the nominee. Just throw this out here.
Extra minute.
So there are 7,400 legislators around the country, but there are 511,000 elected positions in the country. Half of those races, only one person runs. 10% of those races, or about 50,000, no one runs. We have a very quick way of getting about 511,000 registered libertarian voters around the country. In only 37 states. My state doesn't even allow you to register as a libertarian voter anymore. You have to register as undeclared, as independent. But you can still get elected. I've gotten elected and re-elected to Budget Committee. I've gotten elected and re-elected to Planning Board, all before I ran for state legislature, and I've gotten elected and re-elected to state legislature. The down ticket races are winnable. You focus on one issue, and as a libertarian candidate, you use tactical voting. You go to all the Democrats who live in these entrenched Republican districts, and they can cost the Republicans a seat. And the same thing, Republicans who live in these entrenched Democrat districts, New York State's a safe blue wall state, so you go to Republican friends and get them to vote Libertarian.
Time.
My boot is a magic boot. It is a boot that has allowed me to amplify my free speech, First Amendment rights exponentially. It is a magic boot that has allowed me to communicate with millions of people and earn media around the globe. It is the magic boot that can bring all the young voters to the LP's front yard and grow the party. It is the magic boot. What you must know about me, the boot again, is not attached to my head. I am not my character. I am not always on. I am not always disruptive. I am a very reasonable man with a very reasonable offer to make. I'm Behrman Supreme. I am a libertarian. And I don't always shill for a political party. But when I do, you can bet your sweet ass it is the Libertarian Party of America. Thank you.
We have our submitted questions now. We have a 1 minute answer with a 30-second rebuttal if your answer from this answer references another candidate.
And as you saw during the opening statements, if candidates wish to extend their time by a minute, they can throw a piece of swag into the audience. Please try and make it into the audience though, instead of orchestra. There's no one there.
So the first question is for Max Abramson. You have a history of mocking those on social media who call you out for posting conspiracy theories as truth, for promoting Republicans as a viable option for libertarians. How do you expect to win the nomination when you have offended or blocked dozens, if not hundreds, of delegates to the 2020 convention?
I've been blocking people on social media automatically for as long as I've been on social media. I think I'm one of the first social media users. And as soon as the block option came up, I automatically, if I had 2 or more abusive comments from anyone, I just automatically blocked them. At first it was just kind of random people, and then I noticed from probably, I'd say the 2012 election to 2016, it turned out it was almost all Democrats. When I went back and looked through the list, it's probably 20 some odd people. And then I've looked since about 2015, 2016, I've looked back at the list and I've seen that almost all the people I've blocked turned out to be people who are new to the Libertarian Party. And I don't know where they've come from, but it's not partisan, it's just an automatic thing that I do. So I don't waste my time. I try to maximize my use of time, especially on social media or events like this. If somebody's abusive and they keep making negative, nasty comments or using a lot of profanity or racial slurs, I just block them automatically. So I don't care who they are.
Next question will be for Sam Rock. If you could work with Congress to pass one piece of legislation which is in the realm of possibilities, what would it be and why?
If I could work with Congress and get one piece of legislation passed, I would abolish the income tax. Really, if you look at it, honestly, for individuals making under $50,000, for private companies, small businesses that are making under $5 million a year, they all face federal tax burdens that amount to basically funding the Department of Education, Department of Transportation. We have people that we are putting through the ringer every year, over and over again, worrying about taxes, getting them audited, sending them to jail sometimes, over essentially nothing. If I had the chance to work with Congress, I would abolish the income tax.
Thank you very much. Next question is for Mr. Behrman. Since taxation is theft, how will you pay for the inevitable war when darning a tax? Will the funding of a war machine be voluntary, or would he be willing to use Behrman's plan for powering the tanks with zombies?
I mean, if you can get the tanks running, I'd be happy to use that. How would we pay for a military? I think there's a few things we need to recognize. One, if we actually pull our military back from around the world, there are going to be a lot fewer threats around the world, a lot fewer people who are going to be mad at us for the things that we've done to their countries and reacting to what we've done. I hate saying we, but the United States government. What a lot of people don't understand is the government has so many income streams, not just the income tax or not just these other taxes. It has so many income streams. It sells its services. It raises money in so many different ways. It sells bonds. It has toll roads. There are all kinds of different ways it has, and these are ways that we can fund things. Plus, volunteer military makes sure that we don't have a government who's just using our military and abusing our military around the world.
Behrman, would you like to respond? Would you like to respond, Behrman?
Having been referenced in the answer.
Yeah, great property. Let's do it. Gotta pay for them more somehow, all right, people? Thank you.
Next question will be for Jedi. Okay. Do you believe that you would have a realistic chance of becoming president in 2020? Why?
Yes, I mean, any of the wonderful people here have a realistic chance. The reason I have a realistic chance is because of knowledge of everything from quantum physics, medicine, psychology, to working on connections with some of the top marketers in the world. Like, I know with where social media and everything else has gone now, with the proper message, appealing to people's base emotions instead of their logic as we make decisions with our hearts and our emotions, that we can change the tides and we can help create a country where we all win.
Question is for Daniel Chrisman. What is your position on UBI, Universal Basic Income, and why?
Universal basic income is pretty interesting. I think the only place I would allow to roll it out would be in Puerto Rico right now. I would rather have the citizens get the money than them getting ripped off through the Jones Act and stuff like that. However, UBI is domestication of the society, so I'd be very skeptical of UBI. What I'd rather see instead of UBI is we need to figure out how to reach out to and develop an urban caucus and reach out to urban centers. And we have in New York City alone 700,000 people living on subsidized housing. And us taxpayers are going to have to pay for it for the next thousands of years at this rate. I would rather just give everyone the property on property that's subsidized. I don't want to hear about opting out. We can't opt out of paying for subsidized housing. I would rather just give away the deeds.
We have the live stream's having a hard time hearing us, if we could all make sure we're speaking directly into the mic, I guess. The next question will be for Mr. Supreme. What is your plan to reduce monetary inflation?
Yes, by destroying lots of money. If we just, it's the converse of printing money to create inflation. And so I believe if we destroy lots of money, that will certainly increase its worth. Thank you. And of course, the pony standard.
Question then will be for Mr. Ken Thompson. Is there any minority group that should be federally classified, protected? So which ones?
Yes, Americans. Believe me, folks, I respect the fact that there are a whole bunch of Americans who are going through all kinds of discriminatory processes. I don't want to marginalize them any further than they already are. But I believe the 14th Amendment says everybody in this country is entitled to equal protection under the law. And if we create people who are more equal than others, we have to keep chasing that ball down the hill. What we need to do is start enforcing the law that we have, the Constitution that we have. Every American has equal rights.
The next question will be for Behrman Supreme. Will our ponies only be available in a natural color, or can we get one with a little more flair?
You will have your choice of colors, flavors, and number of legs. Many options are available. Thank you for asking.
This question is from Max Abramson. Are white supremacy and white nationalism compatible with libertarianism? Why or why not? And if not, what will you do as a nominee about those espousing these ideologies within the party?
No, they're completely incompatible. Right-wing populism, especially the more extreme, hateful, racist groups, actually come from the left. If you look back in our history, the early 1900s and 1800s, the progressive movement, the prohibition movement, as I've said on the floor of the House, and I've said it in any number of times, things like zoning laws and racist gun control laws were originally started by white supremacists who wanted to use the power of government to hold down blacks and American Indians, to disarm them. The U.S. government disarmed and murdered over 2 million American Indians during the 1800s. The Chinese Exclusion Act, in which hundreds of thousands of Chinese immigrants who'd come here legally were mass deported. Their rights are violated. We fight for the rights of ethnic minorities, religious minorities, and gender minorities because individual rights are human rights.
Moderators, we have skipped You've asked everybody a question, but you haven't asked me one yet.
Mr. Vora, what are your opinions on the hashtag Black Lives Matter?
It's one of those tricks you see in politics. It is tautologically true that Black lives clearly do matter. It's the same trick that we saw with support our troops. Do we support our troops? Of course. Do we support people who are suffering? Of course. But supporting our troops is not the same as supporting a war. And I oppose the way to support our troops is to end foreign wars and bring them home. Shut down foreign military bases and bring them home. And do Black Lives Matter? Absolutely. And how do we show that? One, we stop the abuse of black communities by the police. And two, we end all racial preference and all affirmative action and all monkeying around with race and treat everybody fairly and equally as dictated by the Constitution.
Just to clarify, some of those questions were directed to specific candidates, so we were not trying to bypass it. Right? This question will go then to Sam Robb.
How can we force states to remove tolls from roads funded by the Interstate Highway Trust Fund?
How can we, if I can get this straight, how can we force states to remove tolls from roads that are funded by interstate?
Right. How can we force states to remove tolls from roads funded by the Interstate Highway Trust Fund?
Ideally, I would say we don't force them to remove the tolls. We remove the funding. We take the federal funding away from them. There are plenty of ways that they can obviously raise money in order to pay for roads. In this case, tolls, right? They've got at the state level, you can have bonds, I believe was mentioned. You can have tolls. You can have all sorts of different levies and fees for the users of those roads to help pay for them. My answer would be to get the government out of it, get the federal government out of it, and let the states handle it.
Mr. Dan, Taxationist Behrman, how can we reduce firearms smuggling to Mexico?
By the United States government or just in general? I guess if we stopped paying our taxes, they wouldn't be able to buy them. I think that would cover it.
So be to Jerry.
Is Adam Kesh calling out the culture war and his straight pride appearance an adequate calling out when he knew that the group is full of guys with Nazi tattoos and specifically said that Justice Invictus ethno-state ideals weren't a problem? Is white nationalism a legitimate part of the culture war? Do those opposed to it simply need to get over it?
Well, let's start with the white national and the culture war. This is just the divide and conquer mentality, and this is what the Black Lives Matter and everything else. We gotta let go of it. All lives matter, and we all gotta work together in unity if we want to overcome this. This is what the Democrats, the Republicans, the Rothschilds, and that who are pulling the strings behind really want you to focus on. And, you know, if people feel that marriage is between one man and one woman, that's cool. Like, what you do in your bedroom is none of the government's business. So let's take it one step at a time and just come back to the individual views. If he wants to talk at pride matters for straight, gay, lesbian, we don't care. That's what the Libertarian Party is all about. The freedom to do what you want, when you want. And I might not agree with what everybody views, but you have the right to make your own choices.
Mr. Vora, how will your candidacy promote bottom unity and grow the Libertarian Party?
The people who right now are most damaged by government are the people who are supposedly being helped by government. The people who are hurt most by this building that we're in right now are two groups of people. One are the students who are being forced to attend it, and two are the great teachers whose innovation and brilliance is being squandered in this terrible system. The people who are being hurt the most by the wars are the people who are getting bombed and the people who are doing the bombing. Yes, the people who are the drone bombers are having their psychology, their souls damaged by what they're doing. And many of the people who are recruited in the military, many of them come from poor areas, not all, some come from very rich areas. And so when you talk about how to promote bottom unity, we need to take away the thing that is crushing everyone at all levels, but especially and disproportionately hitting people at the bottom.
Thank you, that's time. Question goes to Mr. Ken Thompson. What are your goals in running? Oh, sorry. Mr. Armstrong, thank you. What were your goals in running for the presidential candidacy?
My goals in running for, well, my goal is to return the country to the people. We need to send Congress back to work. If they want us to fight in wars, they need to declare them, and I doubt that they would, because that would make them accountable to their voters. But the first thing we need to do is bring people back from these wars of adventurism that we've got overseas. And then we need to be in the business of giving the government systematically back to the people as it was intended. I believe in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. I really believe in a systematic order. I just don't believe in the government controlling your lives.
On the speed round now, the candidates will have 30 seconds at most to answer. The speed round. First question is, down the line.
Don't you get 2 questions up?
No, there's no. But we have the speed round. First question down the line is, do you support international recognition of Liberland?
No, I only got 1 question. Everyone else got 2 questions. Ask me a question. Everyone else got a question.
This is your question. Do you support the international recognition of Liberland? We're taking that down the line.
Can you say that so I can hear it, please?
The international recognition of Liberland. Will you, as president, recognize Liberland?
Liberland?
Yes.
What, you want me to have an electoral moment? Can you answer me a real question, please?
That is a question.
Okay, so how much time do I have?
You have
Listen,
30
this is what's going on in America, okay? This is what's going on. We are forced into paying for a welfare state, okay? And everyone who's on the welfare state in these urban communities don't see any other way out. So if the Libertarian Party is going to continue to tell us, look at the free market, we have to look at the free market of who's going to vote for us. And the free market is answering the questions of housing, hunger, food, basic civil rights, and we need to lead the charge in that. And what's happening right now...
That is time. All right, take your minute, take your minute.
No, don't worry about it.
Mr. Jerry Hill, you support the recognition of Liberland?
I have never heard of Liberland, to be completely honest. If it's a legitimate country or just some fantasy, if people decide they want to section off into another country, that is their choice. The idea is absolute freedom to do what you can when you want to do it. And with us, I'm not a fan. We're a united country, and we've got to do our best to stick together with unity.
Thank you. Mr. Tom Behrman, do you support the recognition of Liberland? Taxation is theft. Taxation is theft, Behrman.
Yes, absolutely. Liberland is a small micronation that's kind of, I think, between Serbia and Croatia. And they have this thing where basically it was no man's land. There was a river that moved, and they were like, hey, let's claim that as ours, because no country claimed it. And then one country sent their military in and said, oh, no, sorry, that's ours. So, yes, I absolutely would recognize it, and I think they're working on getting the European Union to recognize it. So,
thank you. Mr. Rova, do you support the recognition of Liberland?
I actually had the chance to meet the president and vice president of Liberland, and so the first question to answer is yes. But I've been a bold supporter of recognizing, diplomatically recognizing many countries. I've supported the recognition of Catalonia on Indian TV. If anybody questions my political cards, on Indian national TV, I supported a recognition of a free Kashmiri state, which is obviously the last thing they wanted to hear about. And so, yes, I would support a diplomatic recognition for Liberland and Hong Kong and Taiwan.
Thank you. Mr. Sam Robb, would you support the recognition of Liberland?
No. Oh, honestly, I've not heard of Liberland until right now. I have a couple of very good people that I trust who are telling me that it is an actual nation, and yes, I would recognize it. Recognize a group of people, giving them, they have a given right to associate with who they want, call themselves what they want, and live their lives the way they want. So absolutely recognize them. Thank you.
Mr. Ken Thompson.
Armstrong.
It's okay, we'll forgive you. What I don't recognize is our right not to recognize a sovereign people.
Mr. Max Abramson, recognize Liberland?
Yes, I do. Sovereign people have a right to separate from other countries, to form their own governments. Our own Declaration of Independence says it. And they have the right to break away from another country and live in their own country and live under self-government, self-rule.
Behrman Supreme, you support recognition of Liberland?
Yeah, that way we can sell alarms and stuff. For those of you viewers at home and are not totally familiar with the Libertarian Party and the Libertarian Party platform, I would highly recommend that you go to lp.org and please read the Libertarian Party platform. You may agree with it on many more points than you disagree with it, and it would do yourself a real big favor. Check it out. You may be a Libertarian and not even know it. Thank you.
This next one, we will go the opposite way now, starting with Behrman Supreme. How will you present the LP platform to those who are not aware of it?
Well, I believe I'm particularly perfectly situated to create a series of public service announcements, little skits, utilizing the universe of imagination that I've created in order to make little infomercials to get our points across. That's one way that we would go about it. Thank you.
Max Abramson?
How much time have I got?
30 seconds.
Oh, okay. I always give 2 quick answers when I only have 30 seconds. 1, you have the right to live your life as you see fit so long as you're not harming anyone else. And 2, government should be as small and as decentralized as possible.
I've been on the road for 6 months now, 40 states, and what I do in this situation, which we've been in so many times now, is I ask people what's important to them in their lives, and then I match the values of the Libertarian Party to their lives, and it's amazing how that connects with people when we actually care what's going on with them.
So I would tell people to talk to their neighbors. Everybody has a story about interacting with the government. Everybody has a story about dealing with the DMV. Everybody has a story about the IRS audit gone wrong. Everybody has a story about how the government stinks. And what you need to tell them is the Libertarian Party has a solution for that. And the answer to that is getting you into a situation where you don't have to deal with that anymore.
Dan, taxation is theft, Behrman.
One thing I like to do is I like to yell taxation is theft as loud as I possibly can. It works really well. Also, like Ken said, we want to understand what people want and what the problems are in their lives and show them how libertarianism can work for them, because that's really what a lot of people miss. When we talk about libertarianism, we talk about what we want from it, but we don't understand, hey, they don't want the same things as us. Also, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Our job is not to spin the Libertarian platform as something that it's not. And quite frankly, does not benefit everyone. If you're a millionaire government contractor, a board presidency is going to hurt you a lot. So the way that I express it is I talk about the areas that are most strikingly different. Abolishing government schools, leaving NATO, shutting down foreign military bases, bringing the troops home, ending the income tax. What makes us different is what makes us great.
As much as I'd like to just tear through Washington, D.C. with a bulldozer and let every socialist know in this country that they're nothing but the supremacists, and talk about how taxation is theft and how we have to end it and how we have to end the federal government and let's fantasize about having anarchy for 1 year in the world. It's all well and good, but I have a 20-year plan to get us off the social welfare system, and it will really work and it will galvanize the whole country.
Dan Rowe. Jedi Hill. Oh, sorry. Jedi Hill. that was you. I'm sorry, it's you. Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
I got mixed up.
Okay, so spreading liberty to the people. Ask yourself, how would your life be different if you didn't have to deal with the government in your life, for your cars, in your bedroom, in your business? And you could actually be free to do what you want when you want. That's the basis of the Libertarian Party. And for me personally, I'm working on turning the plastic in the oceans into islands to feed the world.
Next question for speed round. 30-second answer, going back the other way. Jerry Hill, borders, open, closed, or maybe?
Okay, for borders, we need to transform our borders to give people a way in and integrate them into society. Teach them English and things like that. But if you want a chance to get a better world, we just need to filter you through so we're not overtaxing the infrastructure. I personally lived in places like Colorado where you have a dozen people living in a one-bedroom apartment and rates are going up. So just help them in the right way.
Thank you. Daniel Chrisman, open borders, closed borders, or maybe? 30 seconds.
Open borders, I mean, people deserve to immigrate and travel and all that stuff, obviously. But we also have the right to maintain our first 10 Bill of Rights and defend ourselves from technocrats and corporocrats coming in and controlling through marketing and AI our sovereign nation. And we always have to have a last stand to defend our borders no matter what.
Thank you. Mr. Arvin Voda, open borders, closed borders, or maybe?
My views would be different from Mr. Christen's. I believe that you have the right to come to any country you want to and starve to death. I don't think you have the right to welfare. I don't think you have a right to free health care. I don't think you have a right to anything. But you have the right to travel to another country? Yes. And it is our responsibility to be disciplined enough to say, no, we're not giving welfare. No, we're not giving food stamps. No, we're not giving Medicare. Open borders, no welfare.
Open borders, closed borders, or maybe?
So,
Yeah, okay, you're good.
Yes, Art, I think, right?
You know, there's a huge condemnation that's due to the Democrats and the Republicans on immigration, and quite frankly, the environment as well. And we need to get out and let everyone know that we have the most sound, fair, humane immigration policy out there, and check us out.
Thank you. Behrman, open borders, closed borders, or maybe?
my campaign headquarters is located in Cancun, Mexico, so that should give you a good idea. I think open borders are a wonderful thing, and I'd love to get there. Of course, we have a couple really big problems that we need to deal with first, such as welfare and the drug war. We need to end both of those, and then we'll have a much easier way for people to come and go as they please without being a drain on the system, as a lot of people say. And one thing that a lot of people say is they're a drain on our tax, but hey, every single illegal immigrant who's here is renting somewhere, which means they're paying somebody else's property tax, which is a lot of money that's going into our system to pay for our schools. So there's that.
Sam Rob, open borders, closed borders, or maybe?
I'm going to start by throwing out a card right away and mentioning that I saw Ken getting his things ready, so that gives you another 30 seconds for your rebuttal there. I've described myself as closed borders, open doors. We have a right to control our borders. We have a right to decide who's going to come here and who's going to associate with us. Not because we think other people are horrible or lesser than we are, but because we want people who believe the same things that we do. We want people that believe that hurting other people is wrong, that stealing from other people is wrong, that defrauding and lying to other people is wrong. So we want some basic control at the borders to say, hey, if you are someone who wants to come in here and hurt people, we're not going to let you. Other than that, we should have our doors as open as we can. We should be recreating the time when we had Ellis Island and we had all of the world wanting to come to the United States because we are awesome. We are a fantastic country. We have done so much for the world. We have done so much to expand the wealth and the prosperity in our land and in the lands around us, and in countries around the world, and it's no wonder that people want to come here. We should be encouraging that. We should be making sure that we make that possible, and we should be making sure that we can handle that when all these people come here to find a tremendous life.
Thank you. And Armstrong, open borders, closed borders remain.
I think I probably used all my yellow pencils on this one. So as many of you know, Dawn and I have spent most of the last 3 years in Mexico and visited Guatemala as well. And while we were in Mexico, I met with some people in the caravans that were coming up to the United States. And there was a gross difference between what I heard from them and what I hear from the American media. First of all, they're coming from countries that are torn by poverty and military conflict. But in addition to that, they're uneducated. Most of them can't even read or write, and they speak very rough Spanish, no English at all. So the American news that they get is filtered to them through what they hear down there. And they heard the American president say to them, the border is going to be closed soon. Translated to them, that meant the border is not closed yet. They weren't trying to do something evil. They heard from the president that the border isn't closed yet, and they were trying to get there because they heard from other people, and when you get here, we want to give you free stuff. And by the way, I agree. None of us are entitled to free stuff, but we're entitled to the right to work for whatever we have an opportunity to work for. So in terms of open borders or closed borders, I think we need to move to the free movement of people between countries. I think that has to be an incremental thing. One more missile here. This one's missing a...
Last missile. Another minute.
I have a proposal that's in writing. Any of you want to email me, I'll give you a copy of it. For an international free trade zone on the border between the U.S. and Mexico, completely funded by entrepreneurs, not a penny of tax money that would go into it, no land confiscated, entirely voluntary, and it would provide an opportunity for free movement of people into the international free trade zone, gradually expanding that zone and providing an opportunity for people to move freely between countries.
Open borders, closed borders remain.
Pro-immigration, secure borders. I believe in the Australian-style point system. I think that that's the best system. I definitely support things like student visas and also letting students upgrade their visas to work visas. I think that we should increase the number of investor visas and inventor visas and retirement visas and a number of others. And we need to reverse Trump's policy of blocking migrant workers. But there are 750 million people around the world, according to Gallup polling, want to move to another country, and most of them would move here. All the other countries they want to move to have secure borders.
That's time. Thank you. Behrman Supreme, open borders, closed borders, or maybe?
Free trade and migration, 3.4 from the Libertarian Party platform. We support the removal of government impediments to free trade. Political freedom and escape from tyranny demand that individuals not be unreasonably constrained by government in the crossing of political boundaries. Economic freedom demands the unrestricted movement of human as well as financial capital across national borders. Thank you.
For this next one, we will go down the row again in the opposite way once more. Start with Mr. Behrman Supreme. Knowing that the duopoly will not let us into the debates, what radical, or dare I say audacious action will you take to rally the public to demand inclusion?
Once again, from my understanding, it would be 15% polling that would grant a third party the right to be up there on stage. And I believe that if I were the nominee, I believe that nature would take its own course and the viral media would demand that I get 15% just for the sheer lulz alone. Thank you.
We don't need to. Tactical voting is good for potentially up to 28% of the vote nationwide. Again, there are 14 safe blue wall states where the Republicans there's nowhere they can go. There are 20 safe Republican states that always go Republican every year. You can target liberal and progressive voters who want to cost Trump the election to live in those 20 states, and we can go to the people who live in the 14 safe blue wall states and convince them to support libertarians, and we'll get up well over 15% before September.
Armstrong.
I absolutely think we have the opportunity already. We're moving out into the public. We have to, one of the things that we have to do is we have to stop squabbling among ourselves and move the ball out into the public place. And yes, absolutely, I believe it's 100% doable.
I also believe it's 100% doable. However, I don't think that even if we hit the 15%, I don't think we're going to automatically be included. They are very familiar with moving the goalposts when people get too close. What we would need to do would be to rally public opinion. What we would need to do would be to have a social media presence, which is what works in this day and age, and get a viral campaign going so that people cannot ignore the message from the Libertarian Party.
I gotta say ditto to a couple
And
of those.
taxation and stuff, Behrman.
Let me start over. I gotta say ditto to a couple of these ideas are really great, but the thing is, it's a private organization, and some people want to kick the door in and say, hey, make us part of this. The truth is, they want to ignore us for a reason. We are a threat to them. It doesn't matter if we got 70% in the polls, they wouldn't include us. They'd find a way. What we need to do is we need to do whatever we can to make as much noise and get recognized, do things that they cannot ignore and be seen, and that's how we get recognized.
Can I say that we'll get into the debate now? But I can say this. If there's one thing I know how to do, it's how to get a large number of people talking about what I want them to talk about. And I guarantee you this, if I'm the nominee, every family dinner, every water cooler conversation is going to be about our views. Abolishing government schools, ending the income tax, jury nullification, pardoning, shutting down foreign military bases, and bringing the troops home. That will be the national debate if I'm the nominee.
I think the very first thing that we need to focus on is our urban centers. I think urban centers are going to be the key to taking down the left, and I have a squad that supports me. They all wanted to come up here tonight and help me out here. However, there was a walkaway event in the Bronx, and they went right and got in those Republicans' faces that are co-opting the walkaway event and said, yo, right here, Libertarian Party, we need to just fight and get out there, and we got this.
While I agree with the other ones, Democrats and Republicans are very unlikely to let us into the debate. What we need to do is hit where they can't hit. Hit them on the pocketbook, show them how we can fix the country through private sector, and utilize the top business marketers and that in the country to spread the word on social media using the top marketing techniques we have available now.
Thank you very much. That concludes our speed round. We'll now go on break for 10 minutes. So we will come back in 10 minutes. This is the time for the audience to come up with questions for the candidates. Thank you.
We're also going to be here tomorrow. I'm the chairman of the Free Libertarian Party, Inc. That was the organization that was formed in 1972, right after the Libertarian Party formed in Colorado, the National Libertarian Party. For the 43 years from the time the organization formed, the Libertarian Party has been trying to get the attention of the American people without a lot of success, which is why we've actually resorted to things like the magic boot on the head and the Mad Hatter's hat, making rash statements that are actually not true, like all taxation is theft, only under certain circumstances, and those circumstances are the way we happen to implement taxes now. It is tantamount to theft. But we resorted to that, and as a consequence, what actually happened is the American people heard us and then looked the other way. They didn't want to do anything with us because we were a bunch of wackos. But we formed the Libertarian Party because America has a problem. We walked up to that cliff and we stepped over in 1909, and we're sliding down this cliff toward tyranny. In 1909, Congress passed a bill that literally trashed the two financial barriers in the Constitution that were to prevent our government from implementing tyranny. These are the words of the U.S. Supreme Court. A couple years later, we literally destroyed the Republic with the 17th Amendment. This was basically the words of the Supreme Court. We totally changed the relationship of government between the government and the people with the New Deal, the words of the U.S. Supreme Court. We changed the way we address the poor people in this country, and we have made basically a caste of poor that will never get out of that caste. We have problems. The Libertarian Party solved these problems, and they solved more problems. They solved the Democrat and Republican parties becoming two dominant parties, with the other two parties disappearing in the 50s and 60s. They saw the government intervening in the medical field to the point where a lot of doctors today are actually leaving because of the government interference. We have problems. The Libertarian Party formed to address that, and for 43 years, our growth has been essentially flat. In 2015, the Libertarian Party in New York State took a turn, and we focused on the libertarian, enrolled libertarians, and the libertarian philosophy. And in 3 years' time, we doubled the number of state party members, we doubled the number of chapters, and we doubled the number of enrolled libertarians. In the 4th year, we actually became a recognized political party. It is possible to change the Libertarian Party and become the #2, if not the #1 political party in this country. But what we see in today on this stage, and we'll see some more of it, is the old, basically the dramatic, trying to get the attention of the American people, coupled with the new, which is a serious discussion of the problems in this country. I would like to see us continue to shift toward a focus on just libertarian candidates, libertarian philosophies, and start putting forward the libertarian solutions that we have, because right now, any libertarian solution proposed does not fit into the structure of our society. We have to educate the people as to what really has to change in order for it to make sense to open our borders. Our laws have to change, not the restriction on the people coming over. We have ridiculous laws that take and cause our employers to trying to make productive people out of these people. We throw them in jail. And then we have laws that have the government take and turn all these people basically into welfare recipients. That is wrong. But what I'm hoping we will see more and more as we go on is the libertarian solutions coming forward, and people begin to realize that there is a different way to handle our society structure. We have accepted tyranny as good government. Every time you see a grant that's nothing more than an act of tyranny. Every time you have to go down to the town hall to pay for a building permit, that's nothing more than an act of tyranny that prevents you from the benefit of home ownership. The real estate tax is the #1 cause of homeless in this country, and it's the #1 cause homeless people don't get back into a home that they own. I'd like to thank you all. Hopefully you'll be sticking around tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be deciding the fate of the Free Libertarian Party of New York, because now that we have ballot access, the Libertarian Party has an interim state committee, and that interim state committee, along with the county organizations, is the Libertarian Party of New York State. But thank you for coming tonight. Hope to see you all tomorrow.
question to ask any of the candidates, we have a microphone here. Come ask your question to candidates. The question can be no more than 30 seconds. The candidates have a minute to answer, up to a minute to answer, with a 30-second rebuttal if an answer references another candidate.
I will be coming around with the microphone myself.
Can we get that mic turned down?
It's because we're close to the speaker.
Maybe we don't.
Does anybody have a question for the candidates? Go ahead and raise your hand and I will come to you. Any questions for the candidates? Okay.
Lou? See if it works with that, otherwise have them come up here and ask a question.
Okay. Yeah, if this gets too much feedback.
My question is for Ken Armstrong.
Maybe you better come up here and use this microphone.
Okay.
My question is for Ken Armstrong. How will we get Congress to address $23 trillion in debt? And for the viewers, that's 23 followed by 12 zeros, 23 trillion in debt that we have inherited from the OK boomers.
I don't think Congress ever will address it. I don't, honestly, and I hate to be cynical about it, but I think that what we need to do, I'm not a subscriber to modern monetary theory, but I do agree with the point that we need to grow the economy faster than we're growing the debt, which is something that's not happening right now. So we need to open up the economy to international free trade to be able to expand the economy more rapidly than the debt is expanding so that we can start paying it down. Right now, we're at 103% debt to gross domestic product and growing, and that's never going to happen, and Congress won't address it.
Thank you. Any more questions from the audience?
How's it going? Stephen Oak. I'm the vice chair of the Onondaga County Libertarian Party. So this question is for Dan, taxation staff Behrman. Listen, you're a super reasonable guy and you're very well spoken. A lot of people see the 2020 election as a referendum on Trump. You're either Trump or you're not Trump. How can you, as the LP candidate, how would you make us something that the media is forced to talk about or that the general voting public is forced to talk about in such a divisive election?
I think that really comes down to some sort of guerrilla marketing. We talked about getting into the debates, and we know they're not going to let us in there. They're already trying to completely ignore us in the media, even though we've done some amazing things. We have some amazing candidates out there. They are trying to stonewall us. They're trying to take away America's freedom of choice. They're trying to say these are the only options you have, which are tyrants, which just happen to have some sort of financial relationship with all the news media. So we have to figure out whatever way we possibly can. And there happen to be a lot of social medias out there that we can actually pay money, which sucks that we have to do that, and that's the only way. But you give them money, they give you time, they give you exposure. We can reach 150, 200 million people with this message, and we can't get people on board with this.
Thank you. Question?
For Ken Armstrong, what would your inaugural address look like, and what would you do possibly in the first 100 days?
Well, my inaugural address would be essentially this. Congress, you're on notice. You have 30 days to declare war where you want it declared. On day 31, we start bringing people home, and we start closing down the bases that were not required by law to keep open. There are some that are open by treaty. That's a little bit different issue. Most of our bases overseas are established in what's called a status of forces agreement. We can just shut them down and leave. So on day 31, we start getting out of these colonial imperialistic sort of wars that we're in. And then in the next 100 days, we start repealing regulation. Now, President Trump, he ballyhoos the fact that he has removed so many regulations. If you look at the regulations he's removed, they're all on his cronies, not on you. We need to remove the regulations on you.
Kevin Bartholomew, here from Olean. As I was registered as a Republican, now I'm registered as a Libertarian. I ran on the Libertarian line. I got the highest percentage of Libertarian votes in the county. Now, based on the problem I'm having, and I hear this time and time again, you're liberal. I didn't think you were Republican, I thought you were conservative. People confuse libertarians as being liberals. Now, this is not towards anybody in particular. Anybody can answer. But what are you going to do to change the mindset of the people to make you realize you are not liberals? Thank you.
I'd like to take that one first. This comes from us hiding our message. The fact that most people don't know that libertarians want to abolish government schools is because we have hidden that fact actively. The reason right now Democrats are getting the credit for legalizing marijuana is because a few years ago, libertarians in the Libertarian Party were telling us not to tell everybody that's where we stood. We need to stop hiding the best parts of ourselves. We need to stand at the core issues of our platform, which is ending welfare, ending the income tax, shutting down foreign military bases, bring the troops home, and ending anything else where the government is interfering with our natural rights and natural sovereignty.
Thank you. Have a question then?
Yeah, can I answer that one?
Yes.
We've got to stop saying that we're fiscally conservative, socially liberal. We're fiscally libertarian, socially libertarian, and libertarian on foreign policy. We're not for socialism, we're not for big government. We're for getting government out of your personal life, we're for getting government out of your pocket, out of your bedroom, out of your paycheck, out of everything. We're for getting government out of everything. You have to be absolutely clear in this noisy, busy, loud, cacophonous world. We're for getting government out of every part of your life.
Thank you.
I would just like to say that we are concerned. We are socially concerned. We care about your life. And when we say ending welfare, we got to change the message. Like, what would that do for you? If we can get us off the HUD dole by buying out the property owners and giving the people on HUD the property, now they have property and the state doesn't, and we're off the dole, and everybody wins, instead of just saying taxation is theft.
Hi, my name is Pietro. I'm from Newburgh, New York. This question is for any candidate or candidates that would like to answer. What do we do about the financial black hole that is Amtrak? Amtrak loses billions of dollars of revenue each year. They've had a really big problem with accidents and fatalities, and they suck up a lot of money. However, evidence suggests that where Amtrak runs, there's economic development, and of course, congressmen scream when they try to cut it. So what do we do about it? Do we privatize it? Do we have a robust Amtrak? Do we have no Amtrak? What do we do about it?
Amtrak is a beautiful socialist system, and I think all good socialists want to keep it. I worked with Secretary Dole in the 80s when she was buying up Conrail and other railroads and morphing them into Amtrak. The government needs to get out of the business of business. They make everything worse.
I just want to say it's, the government is basically bankrupt. Amtrak is basically bankrupt. And when you go through bankruptcy, you auction it. Give it to somebody else who can run it better, or sell the parts, and they can start their own businesses and figure out how to get that economic development wherever they want it. Where there's money, there's a way.
The sixth plank to communism is controlling communication and controlling transportation. When you have these government protected agencies like Amtrak, which is crony capitalism at its finest, running transportation and changing neighborhoods, we have to put a stop to it and have a better answer for the people.
With Amtrak, I would want the government to do with what they do with the other assets that they shouldn't have. They should sell them. They should sell them and use that money to pay down the debt, to pay off Social Security so we can get rid of that terrible albatross. And that doesn't stop at Amtrak. That needs to continue with other areas. The government needs to sell off the publicly owned land that it's currently mismanaging. If you compare the way that the government has let us get into things like the BP oil disaster, that's publicly owned, versus how well the Audubon Society handles drilling on its privately owned land, you don't need to go much further. So yeah, I would sell off Amtrak and all other government assets.
Reprivatize and re-legalize. I'm always careful to say reprivatize and re-legalize. Everything was legal before 1913, and almost everything that the government has gotten into over the 20th century, almost everything was run privately at one time. Amtrak was once set up, it was once a whole system of competing private rail companies. It can be again. Even the Nordic model is actually Nordic capitalism. Yes, they have a very high tax rate and very expensive welfare state, but they have no bailouts, no subsidies for industry. They have very, very few state-run monopolies, and they leave everything up to the marketplace. And if a company fails, it just fails. They don't have any bailouts or loan guaranteed for them.
My question is for Behrman Supreme. You've had some of the best answers so far. As leader of the Supreme Army, how do you convince people that you're not a joke in Canada?
Once again, this is a question that's certainly come up, and I believe it's a real concern on behalf of the Libertarian Party. Can a serious party put up a joke candidate and not perceived as a joke itself? And I believe that is simple enough. If it's in the framing, it would be a simple matter of a statement and sticking to that statement that they, the Libertarian Party, is in on the joke and that they are putting forth the joke. Simply putting out a statement to the effect that we are the Libertarian Party, we're a serious party, we are a party of ideals, and we are a party of things, and we are doing things. However, the electoral duopoly system for electing the presidency has risen to the level of joke, and here, with love and spite, is Behrman Supreme.
All right, so I've been told to direct this question at just one candidate for time's sake, even though I'd love to hear all of your perspectives on this. But I'll go with Behrman, because he's the coolest. Behrman, what do you think about Kokesh's candidacy, and does that pose an upheaval to the so-called order of the Libertarian Party structure?
Once again, the most beautiful things about running for the presidency is that it's a self-declarative statement. Once you say the magic words, I am so-and-so and I'm running for president, it becomes an established fact and no one can change that fact. And that's the wonderful thing about that country, and that's a wonderful thing about this party, that anybody can run for president under this party and get their message out. Mr. Kokesh has a message, and there you go, he's put it out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, apparently we really have to direct this to only one person, so that's that. So I will direct it to Daniel Chrisman, because I know him personally. Do you think Donald Trump is a libertarian president? That's lowercase l, obviously, because Brandon's a Republican.
Do I think he's a libertarian president? No. I think he is a huge asset in the libertarian vision in bringing us to the finish line. Now, you might be like, the wall, like, that's not that libertarian. But addressing what's going on with NATO, what he did with the tax cuts, what he's doing with some sort of prison reform, in certain aspects he's taken us in the wrong direction. And being Trump haters is not necessarily the best thing to do. What can we do to take advantage of the Trump presidency now while we're getting congressional candidates? And what can we do to take advantage of the Trump presidency after you put us a little further towards liberty by 2024?
Hi, I'm Nick from the Bronx. I would like to address my question to Behrman Supreme. To ask this in particular, what is your view on actually, well, I noticed that we haven't really asked about the race demographics and things, or the problem of, the disparity between different types of people in some of these socioeconomic situations, nor why people mistrust or feel alienated in societies that they live in. I feel like, what would be your solution in general, just making lives better for people as much as you can? I know it seems kind of like a blanket question, but I'm trying as hard as I can to answer.
As an anarchist, I've always maintained that the only way that we will be able to separate ourselves or wean ourselves off of the government is indeed to help come together and come up with our own proposals and our own ideas and our own fashions of helping those who might need that help. That being said, as a candidate for the Libertarian Party, I will put forth the proposal that the free market will indeed provide the opportunities that will bring the people out of poverty. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shauna Cole. I'm from Binghamton, New
York, and my question is directed, forgive me for not catching your name, the gentleman who is fifth down from the left, sitting between Pastor Armstrong and the man with the snazzy socks. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Contradictingly speaking, personal liberty is defined as the ability or the freedom of locomotion and the ability to change your situation as one sees fit. Well, natural liberty is the freedom to exercise your rights without extraneous control as far as the limits of nature will allow you without infringing on the rights of others. I want to know that if you put tolls up and privatize all the roads, is there going to be a toll booth outside my front door, disallowing me to change my situation without having to pay to change my situation?
So if I can rephrase the question, restate the question. If we're going to operate roads as toll roads, if we're going to operate roads as private roads, what's to keep somebody from basically saying, hey, I'm going to purchase the road to your house and I'm going to say you're not allowed to use it? A couple of things. One, that's infringing, like you said, that's infringing on your liberty. That is causing you harm. That is one of the few things that the government is supposed to be able to, in my view, and in the view of the Libertarian Party, is supposed to be able to step in and address, is to say, hey, you are causing this person harm, you're causing this person financial difficulty, we need you to stop that. We can work, we can arbitrate, we can find some other way around it, but we need to find a solution to make everybody in this situation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rod Weber, also known as Rod. Epstein killed himself, Weber. Or did he? Wait, is it Epstein didn't kill himself, Weber? So my question is for Dan Behrman. Dan Behrman, if we can't figure out what the hell reality is, if we don't know that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, if we didn't know that JFK didn't kill himself, if we didn't know that 9/11 exploded everyone's brains, how the fuck are we going to be able to communicate with the Democrats or Republicans or any of these motherfuckers? Reality isn't agreed upon. How do libertarians communicate that shit?
I think one of the things we need to recognize is that when we talk about Democrats, there's two types of Democrats. There's the Democrat voter, same with Republicans, there's a Republican voter, and then there's the crooked politicians that run the Democrat and the Republican Party. And when we talk to people, we need to understand that they are not the policies that they're following. Most people, they understand that politicians are corrupt. They don't trust politicians. They don't want to trust politicians. But they're a member of a party for whatever brought them there. Maybe it's a family history. Maybe they like what they're selling and they're just, hey, that's the only options that are on TV, so this must be all we have. I'm going to vote for the lesser of two evils. But when we come out and say, no, there are other options. There is true freedom, and we can get out of the system. We can get tyrants to stop telling us how to live and what to do with our lives. Then that's when people's eyes open up and their minds open up, and they say, hey, this is really interesting. I want to find out more about this thing called freedom.
This next question was an audience question submitted in writing. We'll address this to Arvin Vora. If elected president, how will you address the deep corruption in the government that coddles the likes of the Clintons, Epsteins, who didn't kill himself, Bushes, redacted, Obamas, etc., while staying alive?
I mean, I do believe that the Second Amendment also applies to a president, and if anybody thinks that if I'm president I'm not going to be armed to the teeth, you just don't know me very well. The second thing is, though, that these people, like, I grew up inside the Beltway. I mean, I am a DC insider. I attended Ivy League college. These are the people who I grew up with. These are the people who I understand. I get the Clintons. I beat Chelsea Clinton in a Model UN thing when I was a kid. So these aren't strangers to me. These are my people. And I know how they work. And I know what scares them. And I know how to beat them. So how am I going to stay alive? Hard strategy. And if it comes down to it, I'm going to be armed to the teeth.
That concludes our speed round. We will now go into the round of confrontation, where the candidates get to ask each other questions. So we will go down the line. There will be a 30-second question with a 1-minute answer. We'll start with Mr. Jedi Hill. You can ask any candidate a question. And please address the candidate so you can come up to the mic and answer.
Ken.
So Ken, a big thing for me is world harmony and building a world harmony treaty. How will you help bring harmony to this country if you win presidency?
Thank you. Well, let me say that I really love Jefferson's inaugural address. In his inaugural address, he said that we should strive to be at peace with all nations, at commerce with all nations, and be good friends with all nations. And you know, that's not a link arms and sing kumbaya kind of thing. That takes hard work. It takes kind of rejecting our own prejudices and our own biases. It means being open to the fact that people are going to look at the world differently, and that's okay. We have to be fine with that. But I think if we take a Jeffersonian approach to the world, it's not a new thing, it's a great old thing, and I think it would work.
Would you like to ask another candidate a question?
I wish I could split them. Can I split them or not? No, one. Okay. I know right now, this is for Behrman actually. I know right now in New York, I'm working diligently to get a candidate to go up against Ellie Nagel, Jerry Nadler, Nydia Velazquez, and AOC. And there's a lot of competent, professional candidates that are really ready to take on this cause, especially after we had 10 Libertarians win in New York State. They're ready to go. Your presidency and your candidacy is great for the party, and I'm not taking it away. But when professionals are coming into the party to win elections, what are you going to do to help them and get behind them and support them?
Yes, sir. Well, I believe the eyeballs and notoriety that I bring to the event will certainly be an advantage to down-ticket candidates. People will want to know what's going on with the Libertarian Party. When they see there's a Libertarian Party candidate, they're going to want to know more. As for the candidate itself, a candidate's what makes a candidate? The ability to pivot and deflect. And so if somebody asks, hey, how come you got that crazy guy with the boot on your head in front of your party? It's like, how about that crazy guy with the boot on his head? Let's talk about the government. As Larry Sharp says, any conversation you start is one that you can pivot right to the issues that matter. Thank you.
Ask a question of any candidate. Please keep it at 30 seconds.
My question is for Dan Christman. I feel like you got off easy in that first round, and so I think the people want to know, where do you stand on the drug war, and where do you stand on public schools?
The drug war, I mean, I got myself in trouble, and I thought everyone was crazy, and they attacked me on it because I was still really against heroin. But as I look at the drug war even more and more, we have to end the drug war and then at least start over from there. The drug war needs to come to an end. Public schools are okay. When people like Bernie Sanders come out on the scene and says he doesn't want to give any money to anything but private public schools, so they control public schools, and when parents aren't involved in the teachers developing the curriculum each year, I think there's a huge problem with public schools and the way they, and also with public schools, they con us. Where I'm from, Monroe, New York, where I grew up, they brought in Walmart and Home Depot, Woodbury Commons, and said, oh, your schools are gonna get all the money. But all we had there was $15 an hour jobs. So I think the schools and the school funding needs to come from the parents and the communities themselves, and not from these tax and corporations and all this nonsense, and they can't be controlled by the federal government.
Taxation Steph Behrman. 30 seconds to ask another candidate a question.
I've got a question for Max Abramson. I am told that you are currently an elected official in a state legislature and that you were elected as a Republican. What have you done to help the Libertarian Party?
How much time do I have to answer this?
1 minute.
Might need my card. In 2016, I also ran as a Libertarian for governor and won 234 votes. Sorry, over 31,000 votes. More than the 4% needed, and we managed to get major party status and automatic ballot access for the first time in 20 years. So you can finally, well, for 2 years, you were able to register as a Libertarian voter. You can't do it anymore because we lost that in 2018. I've introduced 2 different bills to improve ballot access. This year's ballot access bill would reduce us from having to have 3,000 signatures, which effectively would be had to do it every year for 6,000 nominating petitions in order to get 3,000 valid ones. That would reduce it down to just 500 registered members. In other words, having 500 registered members of the Libertarian Party, people registered around the state. That would help all third parties. I have a bill in for Portugal-style decriminalization of all drugs in order to get the debate going, to get the ball rolling on that. And that bill has been introduced through New Hampshire's Dumbest Law contest. We've managed to get a number of different ridiculous, outdated bills and laws repealed. Oops, I've got a few more. The wind is not my friend today. I actually, since you mentioned, I actually have a bill in to, it's illegal in New Hampshire to hunt with a ferret. And so I introduced a bill to repeal that. It's RSA 206, Section 1, I think. And I put in a bill to repeal that, and I have members of the Fish and Game Committee coming to me all the time saying, what's the story behind that? The New Hampshire's Dumbest Law contest, the first bill that we put in to repeal, unfortunately the bill didn't get passed, but it did get a lot of news coverage, it's against the law to pick up seaweed on the beach at night in New Hampshire, no other state. So I introduced that to the bill. That also went to Fish and Game, and they laughed at the issue, but unfortunately that one didn't get repealed. Thank you.
Make them answer the question, though.
That's what I've done. Got ballot access for the party.
Thank you. Sam Rowe. He's asked a question, then again.
So I get to ask the question now, right?
Correct.
Okay, this is for Arvin. When I registered as a Libertarian and joined the Libertarian Party, I basically signed a pledge that said that I agreed to the non-aggression principle. As a Christian, I've been told that I can't be a Libertarian. As a pro-life advocate, I've been told that I can't be a Libertarian. As someone who supports the idea that as a nation, we can come together and we can do things like, decide to do things like control our borders, that I cannot be a Libertarian. How would you address members of the party and members outside the party that see this infighting between different ideas within the Libertarian?
Infighting is good. Infighting is how we clarify our message. Infighting is debate. I mean, in debate is where great ideas rise. In terms of some of your specific questions, can you be a pro-life Libertarian? Of course. I'm a pro-life Libertarian. Can you be a pro-choice Libertarian? Yes. Can you be a pro-immigration Libertarian? Yes. Can you be an anti-immigration Libertarian? Yes. Can you be a government-opposed Libertarian? No, you can't. I don't think that you can be a Libertarian that believes that the government should restrict borders in ways that aren't absolutely necessary for protection. So I think that your position that you brought forth is something that I would consider a legitimate Libertarian position. It's very similar to Milton Friedman's Libertarian position in a lot of ways. But I do think we need to be consistent. And I do remember in 2016, Matt Keanel was running for a chair. He was booed for his position on universal Medicare, which I also opposed, and yet I was booed for my position on universal public school, which is to get rid of them. So we do need to be anti-government involvement in everything, and we do need to have those debates.
This next question being asked will be from Ken Armstrong.
Okay, Jedi, I'm going to return the favor here. The force is strong in you, young Jedi.
Thank you.
Okay. What's up with the federal government in education, and what would you do with the Department of Education?
Oh, thank you so much, Ken, for that question. I'm going to throw my thing just right off the bat for that. Education is brainwashing the children of this country. All right, they're telling you what to think, who to believe, how to do everything. That is one of the major reasons I wrote my book, which is free. You can get it at alchemythemasterspath.com. It teaches you how to be a free thinker, and this is what we have to give to our children. We have to teach them how to be free thinkers and make decisions for themselves instead of just being brainwashed by TV, social media, and everything else. Now, as far as the governmental side, we need to get the federal government out of it and bring it back to the states. We need to stop any restrictions that let parents homeschool their children. Like, the rich people are all homeschooling because they know it is BS or they're sending them to private. I also want to get rid of the property tax, which will give the average American a $300 to $400 a month raise. So let's defund it and then see what happens. You know, one step at a time. Once the children learn how to think, they will naturally go towards freedom. We don't want to inhibit their creativity. We need to give them individualized education based on their strengths and their passions so you can all follow your bliss. When you follow your bliss, you follow your passion, we get specialization and individualization, and that is where we get unity by letting people be who they want to be. And that's what the Libertarian Party is all about, the freedom to be who you want to be. Thank you.
Max Abramson, please ask a question of the candidate.
My question is for the other Dan. Dan Chrisman. I grew up in public housing, and that was a terrible experience I wouldn't wish on anyone. And you said that you have a plan to re-privatize public housing units. How exactly would that work?
Well, if you look at, everyone says I bring it back to New York City. I live in New York City, and I think it's ground zero. Or we could even talk about Donald Sterling in LA. Donald Sterling, who was a racist and got his NBA team taken away from him for being a racist, accumulated all his wealth by owning Section 8 housing projects all through Los Angeles. Every single rent stipend for the people living in Compton went straight to some rich guy rich enough to own an NBA basketball team. And in New York, a huge Section 8 baron is Related Management, the owner of the Miami Dolphins and building the new Hudson Yards. There's no reason for the money to be going straight to Donald Sterling and the owner of the Miami Dolphins and not have that money for housing go straight into the people's hands, give them the deed so we don't have to pay it anymore, open up the free market so housing isn't as expensive and rare anymore, and start over with the housing nonsense.
All right, Behrman Supreme.
Hey, Armstrong, where do you stand on the age of consent laws? No, just kidding. But my question is for Ken Armstrong. What are you going to name your pony?
A horse is a horse, of course, of course. I will name my pony Furman Jr.
Go ahead.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. I believe adulthood is based on what you do, not based on your age. If you have a job, if you have a house, if you are paying for your own bills, if you are paying your own rent, and you want to start a family, then I don't think the government has any business telling you that you are not old enough to do that. If you are ready to have kids, and that means provide for them directly, not send them to a building like this, but if you are ready to provide for your own kids, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you can do adult things, you are an adult.
All right, and before we go into closing statements, we have one more emergency viewer-submitted question. Jedi Hill. Are you actually a Sith Lord looking to seize power like Palpatine?
Love the question. I'll throw my other card for there. No, because Siths only deal in absolutes. I'm really excited for the new movies to come out. And the plan is to take away the power of the government and show people that you can build your life of freedom yourself. That's why I'm big on building small businesses, teaching people how to regain control of your mind so you can use the force. If you understand physics, all there is energy. Electromagnetism, light, sound, it's all the same thing. And as you learn how to recontrol your mind and get a hold of your inner being, you will be able to change your external reality. We can do anything we set our minds to. As Napoleon Hill said, if your mind can see it and believe it, you can achieve it. And I believe we can achieve a country and a world with peace and harmony and eradicate violence everywhere around the world by taking it one step at a time, showing that how we are all the same at the base level of energy, and we are all one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so we'll have the outros. We'll start with Mr. Behrman Supreme. 1 minute outro, please.
We, the members of the Libertarian Party, challenge the cult of the omnipotent state and defend the rights of the individual. This May, the Libertarian Party is going to be given a very stark choice. There are 3.9 million high school students that graduate in any given year. Give me 2 of those years, that's 8 million students. Add that to the 17 million college students. That's a pool of 25 million voters. If you get me 1 out of 4 of those kids vote for me, that is 5% for the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party is going to be given a very stark choice. What time stream do you want to exist in? Do you want to exist in a time stream where the Libertarian Party puts up just some other normal candidate, or do you want to be in the time stream where Behrman Supreme is the candidate of the National Libertarian Party? How much fun do you want to have in 2020? That is the question you must ask yourself. Thank you.
I'm Max Abramson. I vote for Max's for Less Taxes. My first Libertarian campaign, the first one that I supported and worked on, was the Harry Brown campaign back in 2020. Excuse me. I got my family involved. I got my friends involved. I got very excited, and I helped out on the Michael Bednarik campaign and subsequent Libertarian campaigns. And it was shortly thereafter they started getting involved in down-ticket races, because I've gotten so many people elected. We got 21 people elected on Tuesday. We've got 21 Libertarians elected around the country on Tuesday. We should be proud of that. We've gotten thousands of Libertarians elected or appointed to state and local office, mostly local office, around the country over the years. That's where we're having this success. All politics is local. Again, I've spent years working in state and local politics. I've gotten other people elected to office. I've got myself elected and re-elected to office. I've learned the process, and we have to have a candidate at the top of the ticket who understands the trouble, the difficulty that we go through when we have difficult or bad messaging at the top of the ticket. We've got to have clear messaging. Get government out of everything.
Thank you. Mr. Ken Armstrong, 1 minute outro, please.
Well, first I want to thank Luke and the gang for putting this on this evening. Thank you all. Everybody who had anything to do with it, thank you to all of you. There were so many topics that we didn't get a chance to address tonight that are of such concern to the American people. I'd love to have a conversation with you about health care, which is something that's very, very important to me, and to go into more detail about immigration and so many topics that are just critically important to us as a country. But the one thing that we all agree on this stage is that we need to reduce the footprint of America, footprint of government on you, the American people. And we need to do it now because we don't have much time left. This thing is getting out of control. So I ask you to take a look at my website, Armstrong2020.com. Get in touch with me, ask me your questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Sam Robb.
There's just a last minute, an outro of 1 minute. 1 minute? Use it. No, you can use it.
I'm a libertarian, man. I've got the microphone, so I'm going to talk. We are, as a country, as Ken said, we're in a bad place. We need to turn the ship around. We need to be headed in the right direction. And a lot of times what I see is people arguing about how far we're going to go and how many miles we're going to cover and where we're going to stop. Whether we're going to stop in this place or this other place, but in reality, we're 10,000 miles away from there and we're not moving. We're not even headed there. That's the challenge that the Libertarian Party really needs to face. How are we going to mobilize people to change direction? How are we going to get them to stand up and say, we need less government? Not the Libertarians say we need less government. We need less government. That is what we need to do. We can only accomplish that honestly and truly at the personal level. All of us up here, we have great ideas, we have great goals, we have things that we want to do, but without you getting out there and talking to your neighbors, talking to people in your workplace, talking to people that you encounter, and letting them know that the Libertarian Party is an option, that there is something that they can choose besides basically blue or red, cancer, nobody's going to realize that they can make that choice. If we are going to take back this country, it has to be we, the people, who are working on it. Sam Robb, 2020. Thank you very much.
Mr. Behrman, outro, 1 minute.
Behrman2020.com. I'm going to say something again that's really important. Freedom is in our heads. We're living in the matrix. We need to stop looking at government as something that gives us rights and start looking at it as something that is an obstacle for us to exercise our freedoms. Government is something that's created by the people and for the people, so why are we sitting here waiting for it to give us our freedom instead of demanding that they stop interfering with our lives? And I want to say this because a lot of people think that this is the party that hates the police. We have a couple gentlemen in the back. Thank you for being here. This is... Yeah, we hate the traffic tickets and we hate the drug war, but that's not why you're here tonight. And under any other circumstances, if it wasn't taxpayer money, we might have hired you to come here so that if some crazy person was here to assassinate one of us, you might try to stop them. Even though the Supreme Court says you're not obligated to do so. So, this is something we need to understand. Harriet Tubman said, I freed 1,000 slaves and I would have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our own minds. We need to understand this. Read the Constitution. The government did not give us rights. We told the government, we are free, and these are the things that you got to keep your hands off. And check the 9th and 10th Amendments that say, hey, we couldn't think of everything. There's a few other things that are still our rights, and we reserve those rights. You still got to keep your hands off. Thank you.
One of these left here. I'm going to ask you guys to help me do one thing, which is to trigger the United States of America. I have over there door hangers that are specifically designed to do that. We have a radio ad that's going out that's specifically designed to do that. But before you agree to that, I want to give you my full pitch here. In 2008, we were at a crossroads. We had on one side Dr. Mary Brewer, an incredible libertarian, wrote on every issue, even the controversial ones, even the ones that I write about that get me in trouble with you guys sometimes. On the other side, you had Bob Barr and Wayne Root, both of whom, by the way, have since endorsed Republican candidates. Wayne Root quit the Libertarian National Committee while I was on it in order to endorse Mitt Romney. Not to endorse, an actual liberty-leaning Republican, no, just a regular moderate status Republican. And how did that happen? Why did the delegates make such a bad choice? Why did they choose Bob Barr and Wayne Root? Not because they're idiots. Because they were afraid. Because they were afraid of what the social repercussions would be. And I'm going to tell you the truth. If I'm the nominee, there will be social repercussions for all of you. They're going to take it to you the way people have taken it to Republican voters after Trump. Your life is not going to be easy. It's going to be a lot harder. But I also want to speak briefly to the person who isn't on stage, but we're all imagining him there. I'm talking about Justin Amash. Justin Amash does not belong as our standard bearer.
Justin Amash, voted to increase public school spending in DC, which means, to his credit, that he's a true believer. He didn't do it for his own community, he did it for DC, the worst public school system in the world. We need a standard bearer who's going to fight to actually get government out of everything, to fight the sacred cows of government, and to change American culture. And if you want to do that with me, please go to votebora.com.
Daniel Chrisman, 1 minute outro.
Everybody here, you were so cool. Luke, that showed moxie putting this on, and I really appreciate it. Chrisman for P. Christ man with 2 N's, 4P on Twitter. Trying to pull up my Twitter until that guy takes it away from me. Who knows?
Daniel Chrisman for president.
Yeah! Yeah! Yeah, so listen. Guys, when we go out there and we talk to liberals and say taxation is theft, we lose them. But I was against the Amazon deal. That might not sound libertarian, but I understood that they were going to tax Amazon, finally implement the taxes on Amazon to fund the subways and fund affordable housing complexes and fund the schools. And we see what's happening. They're raising taxes and they're pointing direction on having big corporations, I'm throwing in my thing, having big corporations and taxing them more to fund their social programs. When we need corporations in order to succeed to fund these massive social programs, that's exactly when we fall into cronyism. And cronyism is all around us. I agree taxation is theft. I wish we didn't have it. But there are much better ways to communicate with the left on what's going on and try to stop them, and try to halt them. We can get our messaging clear, we can get people in Congress, we can win this thing. And one more thing, Flint, Michigan, they had to wait 2 years for the federal government to come in and fix their water. Why did a dime leave the pockets of any residents of Flint until their water was fixed? Vote for Chrisman.
I hope I didn't twice about that. No rebutting it, closing statements. The Senate?
That's a good one.
First, I want to thank Luke for putting this on, the moderators, and all of you other candidates, because together we will build a country where we all win, and the key for that is personal responsibility. You've heard about the freedom of your mind, and you have to do it. Nobody can do that for you. You have to fight for freedom. And I give you the tools in the book, alchemythemasterspath.com, for free. Check it out. You can also check out the page for Jedi for USA. And one step at a time, as you reclaim your mind and we work together, we will create a country where we all win. Freedom. Peace.
Thank you. We're at the close of the debate, but we've been presuming that everyone here is libertarian. That may not be the case. If anybody is not registered libertarian, please see Ms. Jolana here. If you could just stand for a moment. She has registration forms. I assure you that they are painless, and you can register libertarian here and now. All right, Mr. White.
And do not forget to text OK Boomer to 30330.
Yes. Okay, so thank you for coming, everybody. Round of applause for everybody on the stage. We will take countries will be part of the third party in the United States. Okay, so we have a straw poll going on, as you know. Everybody got a piece of paper. I hope everybody has a pen. If you don't, share with your neighbor. You're going to take this piece of paper, write down your choice. The Libertarian Party likes the choice NOTA, N-O-T-A, none of the above. This is a legitimate option across the country within libertarian circles. So that is an option too. Pick your choice, write it down, look for Matt and Andrew in the back. They are in the lobby right now, I think. Yep, there they are. Okay, so you will find the results of this straw poll on the Libertarian Party of New York Facebook page tomorrow. Again, thank you for coming, everybody. The live stream is on Andrew Hollister.
I didn't drive 6 hours for this.
Oh, okay.
I came from the Bronx, ladies and gentlemen. I am Daniel Christman's campaign manager, and I want to let everybody know. I want to thank everybody. I was watching you guys on the live. It was great. couldn't really hear it a lot, but it's all right. All I want to know is that good luck. All I want to tell you guys is good luck, and
Thank you. Okay. Okay, another round of applause at Andrew Hollister. Thank you for the live stream. You can find that on his Facebook page. Look for Andrew Hollister and share it all over the place. Thank you for coming. Finish that straw poll and look for Matt and Andrew in the back.
Again,